All right. Shalom and good day, everyone. We are happy to gather together as the family of Yah to come and study his calendar and his mysteries. So today we have a special treat for you. As you see with this picture, we can be talking about the length of day and the length of night with the focus on the sun course. But first, let us open up in prayer. To my brothers, I ask that you are facing the east. To my sister as well. Let me start over again. To my brothers, I ask you that you cover your heads. To my sisters, I ask that you cover your heads. For the carnal going hand with the spiritual. For those who are not able to participate in this sign that we do not worry, for you are covered. For we are aware of those who may be in jail, who are in prison, or who are in their sick bed. Therefore, your covering will be spiritual. The Most High got you. But the day is going to come when we're going to gather as a family of Yah, when we come and worship him, and we shall keep these sacred things that he gave us to do. So now let us face the east. In the name of Yahusha The Messiah, Father, we come before you this day. We want to say thank you for everything you have done for us. Thank you for giving us breath to live, to see. Yeah. Thank you, Father, for making the atonement for us, for sending the Lamb who is your Son. Thank you, Father, for you show us how much you love us. You showed us that you love Adam. Thank you. Father, we ask that you give us understanding of your calendar, of your mysteries, of your prophecies, and of your word. Father, we also pray for those who are asking you for things in prayers. So we ask you that you fulfill them according to your will. Father, we also bind every spirit that is not of you. For we know there are tares, there are the serpents, there are the wolves that's among us, looking to block your truth. We ask that you bind them in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, so that your truth can go throughout the four corners of the earth. And if anything that we have not asked you in this prayer, we ask that you fulfill it according to your will. In the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, so be it. All right, y'all. Let me make sure that this thing is recording, because you never know. I'm going to stop my share just to make sure, because I want to make sure we start out right. Okay, it is recording. Let me go back to my share. So what y'all see here is a picture. Like I said, now this is just a picture, okay, my brothers and sisters. I just want to find a picture showing you a representation about day and night, okay? I'm not saying that this picture represents what things are, all right? But I just want to give a picture unto you to show you about day and night. As you see in this picture, we see that it is the sun responsible, I need to back that up. As we see in this picture, we know the sun play a part in giving light into the earth. Okay, it plays a part. It's another thing in the heaven that also give light unto us. That's another mystery, okay? But we had already talked about that mystery when we had gathered in our first gatherings of last year. So for those who are not familiar about the other light that plays a part in giving light unto us in the earth, go to the playlist of YAHUAH Calendar and Mysteries that is listed on the channel. Okay, now for the agenda. First, I need to open up with the date. Today is the Father's new moon day. Praise be to Yah for his new moon day. For as in the beginning of his months, we open up this day to worship him. For he likes to be what? The 11th in your life. He likes to be number one in your life. For his name is jealous, and he don't want no one to take his place or to come before him. So happy new moon day. Okay, so we're in the 12th month, and this is the first day. And from reportings that we have so far, I know Africa has seen the new moon yesterday at sundown. So we're still waiting on more reports to come to finalize everything. So this is the first day in the 12th month of the Most High calendar. As far as the year, we are in the 8th day from Adam, which is the 13th day of creation. And I need to, which is the 8th week of Enoch's 10-week prophecy. Far as the date of the sun, we are in the sun 11th month and 25th day. Now, far as the heathen's date, remember the heathen's date comes from Satan's calendar known as the Gregorian calendar or the Roman calendar, because we are in the fourth beast kingdom. We are in its empire, as Daniel prophesies unto us. So they call this month February, and it's the 13th day in the year of 2021 AD. And they named this day Saturday in the Roman tongue, which is Latin, because they speak Latin. They pronounce Saturday as Saturnalia Day. Okay. So as you see by me giving you the date, this is the difference between Yah's date and their date. Well, we start our day from sundown to sundown. Okay. And we are right now, as far as the phase of the day, we are in the daylight phase. But as it's written in Genesis, he called the evening and the morning day, or the first day, when you read those different events. So he called the evening and the morning a day. Okay. So we are in the daylight phase of the day. When you look, let me go back. Therefore, the reason why we follow sundown to sundown, but we are the children of light, because our Father is the Father of light. Okay. I should put S, Father of lights. When you look at the heathen's calendar, they start their day from midnight to midnight. For their father is the father of darkness, which is Satan. Okay. Therefore, they are the children of darkness, and the children of darkness follow the things of darkness. A big difference between the Most High calendar and Satan's calendar. Okay. For the agenda, today we're going to pick up with 1 Enoch chapter 72. We will review verses 7 through 10, and hopefully, if time permits, we will complete this chapter today, because now that we're in the 12th month, there is another chapter we're going to have to skip to, so you will be aware of, so you can determine if we're going to have a first month or a 13th month. So that's the next area we're going to get into. Okay. Far as requirements for this class or this gathering that we have, you are required to read Torah, which is the first 5 books, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, along with the Gospel, which is 4 books, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You must have a foundation in order to understand the Most High calendar and his mysteries. The next requirement is that you are to continue to observe the heavens. For when you read the word of the Most High, you will learn that the heavens too is a witness that he will call. So the heavens are a witness unto you to understand his calendar. Okay. And we are continuing to observe the new moon report. Okay. So that way you can update your calendars as following. So there will be a video coming out later on the 12th new moon report. so you can compare what you got. The purpose of us coming together so that way you would know how to excuse me, y'all, so you would know how to do the Most High calendar yourself. All things are taught by the Spirit, so you will not be dependent on man who is flesh. Okay? Which brings us to this. By now, your calendars should be set up for the 12th month, but again, we're waiting for confirmation till all reports come in. And then we have some lovely pictures to share with you if we can get to the end of this chapter. Okay. So we're going to look at verses 7, 8, and 9 right quick. All right. We talked about the fourth door and what the fourth door symbolizes or represent. But here I want to point out what 7, 8, and 9, 10 is revealing unto us the first month. So it's giving you the formula of how you know when the sun has entered into its first month. Okay? It's giving you that information. Unfortunately, with this chapter, you have to read the whole chapter to understand how the sun began its first month, because when you get to 7, 8, and 9, it gives you a portion of it. And as we go further along, you're going to see what I'm talking about. Okay? But in the sun first month, you have a total of 30 mornings. 30 mornings. Go back to Genesis 1, chapter 1. Mornings are what? Daylights. Daylights. Very important to know this, because when you look at Genesis chapter 1 and you look at when he created the sun, notice again, he still used the same language, which has been translated in the English tongue as morning. But I have a question to my students. When he made the sun in his fourth day of creation, what did the sun bring along with it to be included in what we call the English word mornings?
Light.
Can you repeat it?
Okay. When he made the sun, I want y'all to go ahead and open your Bibles up to Genesis chapter 1. When he made the sun, notice that he used the same word that has been translated into the English word morning. Because he said what? Evening and morning is the fourth day when he made the sun as well as the other lights.
The star.
Hmm?
The stars.
Yes, he made the stars.
Light.
Okay, but my question is, when he
Okay.
made the sun,
Mhm.
what did the sun bring?
Light.
Light.
Not only light, remember in the beginning of Genesis 1, there was already light, right? In the first verse, he made light. But when he made the sun, what did the sun bring as far as with time? That's the key word.
Like day and night. I mean, like,
As far as with time.
no time.
It's daylight.
Hmm? So I'm saying that I'm talking about like time. All right. Besides a Hebrew saying this is the third hour, 6 hours, 7 hour, instead of them saying this is this hour, how else would a Hebrew recognize time when you're looking at the phases of day? What did they say?
Morning.
Morning, evening, and afternoon and stuff like that.
Okay, but where did that come from? When you're looking at the sun, what did the sun bring? Y'all just said it.
The fourth day.
No, the daylight hours.
Close. But you ought to just said it. The sun brings what? The phases of daylight.
All the phases.
Think about it. In Genesis chapter 1, because of the English, and I probably need to pull this up in the Strong Concordance so we can look at the Hebrew word for morning. Because when we think of morning, we think of what? Morning. Before noon, right? That's how we look at morning. But the way morning is used in Genesis 1, morning is to represent daylight. Right?
Yes.
Okay. But when the sun was made, it brought these phases of daylight. What is the phases of daylight? I'm just talking about a simple term that the Israelites use, but you already gave it to me. When you're looking at daylight, what is the what did the sun bring in addition to that?
Like, are you talking about like the
Because y'all just said it. Y'all already said it. If you have morning, what follows after morning?
afternoon?
Hmm?
Evening.
The afternoon or
That's a little bit later.
the
If
afternoon?
you have morning, somebody said it. Say it again.
The afternoon?
Before that, what takes place before afternoon?
Noon?
Noon. Do y'all see this now? Before the sun was made, in the beginning, you just have what? Light, right? Remember, the sun, the moon, the stars are what? Time indicators. Time indicators. So our people didn't have watches, right?
No.
Right.
So how would they keep a record of time far as during a day? Far as during a day, which most people say for a 24-hour period. So how would they keep a record of time?
Looking at the sun, like with the location of it, like.
That's right. That's right. So now you're beginning to see the breakdown of the phases of the day. Now the same can be done with the moon, but the only time you can use the moon is when you can see the moon in the sky. And knowing the location points where you see the moon in the sky will determine what time it is. Okay? Because remember, the moon come out at different times of the day. The moon can come out during daytime, and it can also come out during night. But with the sun for us is only visible unto us during the daytime. Okay? So here go the Hebrew word for warning, which is broker, and you can see how it's used in the Bible. It may be used as the English word morning, or as morrow, day, days, okay, or early, okay. So this is how this word is used in the Bible, as far as when you look at the English translation, okay. As far as the strong definition, it says it is dawn as the break of day, generally morning, day, early morning, morrow, okay. So going back to the note sheet, when the Father created the sun, what the sun brought in as far as the phases of the day, okay, morning has always existed, okay, it's always been there. But what the sun does, it clarifies when the morning ends, okay.
Mm.
That's what the suns do. Or dictates, I should say, declare, right? Declare when the morning ends. Because for us, when we look at morning, we're looking at what? Before noon. Then the sun dictate when noon begin, and when we translate it in time, we're looking at what? 12 noon, which is PM. right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Then we have what? Afternoon. Because the reason I mentioned this, how do we do our prayers? Morning,
Noon,
noon,
night.
evening. Do
Evening.
y'all see this?
Yeah.
These lights are what? Time indicators. Okay.
Mhm.
Then we have evening. It dictates when the evening begins, right? Because when you get down to our notes further, you will get the definition of evening. And you can find that in Exodus chapter 12. Okay. So with evening, it's going to declare, sun will declare when evening begins. Because that's a biblical prophecy that is to come with the sun, when these lights going to appear. And this prophecy is dealing with that when these lights appear out of order. And I think that's in the book of Ezra in the Apocrypha. That's a prophecy that is to come. So that's what the sun does. Okay. So when you go back to Genesis 1, what I want to point out to you, when you see the word morning, it is to represent daylight. Okay. Daylight. That's why you see him saying, when it's translated into the English tongue, he said what? Evening and morning is what? First day, second day, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth day, etc. Are y'all seeing the connection now?
Yeah.
Yes.
But when he got to making what? These lights in the heaven, they are what? Time indicators. Okay? Time indicators. So the sun brought with it, as far as letting us know when morning ends. Because remember, the sun don't first appear. First the light appear in the heavens, then the sun rise. So the sun let us know when the morning appears, when the morning ends. Then it let us know when we're in the halfway part of the day, which is noon.
Mhm.
Then it let us know when we're in the afternoon, meaning that it comes after the noon. Kind of makes sense when you hear the word afternoon. Okay, so it's later on in the daylight phase of the day. Then the sun declares when the evening shall begin by the going down of the sun.
Mhm.
Okay. Now we
Yes.
see why, when we're looking at the feast days and holy days, why our day begin from sundown to sundown. The sundown is to what dictate unto us when the Father day, and a day is inclusive. Like I said, this word can be used two ways, but right now, the text that I'm using in that the day is inclusive of evening and morning. Very, very important to know. So that is something I just want to bring to your attention. I thought it was very interesting that when he made the sun, it did not change the wording in the Hebrew text. It still said what? He said evening and morning.
Hmm.
Very interesting. Okay. So I'm trying to see if anything else. So for the sun first month, it has to what? Have 30 mornings. That's how many daylights you will have. Okay. You will have 30 mornings for the sun first month. So this is how we know when the sun month begin and end. And in that relationship, as the sun is going through its circuit, we're going to see how long daylight would be and how long night would be. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
So we'll be coming back to this section because we got some lines to fill in. Now let me go to this part because I know I got cut off here. So when the sun rises and sets for 30 mornings, what it's going to do is going to what? Exit out that fourth door. And this is the part we don't see because it's what? It's leaving out of the first firmament, which is the first heaven. So this is why we don't see it. Okay, but the sun is still working, the sun is still moving and still going. So it leaves out that fourth door in the west, and it's continuing going around in its circuit through the north. And when it gets back to the east, it's going to come or rise out of one of these doors here. Okay. This is why I had put here, remember the phases of the day, daylight and night. And we know daylight is morning. First there's light appear, then comes the sun. And remember, these things represent divine things in the heaven. It represents the Elohim head. So to get the definition of evening, when we look in the side note of Exodus chapter 6, it says between the two evenings. So what is between the two evenings? The setting of the sun. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now that we have that out the way, we're going to begin reading several verses. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have my reader one. I'm going to tell you how many verses to read. I would like for you to read verse 11, verse 12. Okay, read verse 11 and 12.
And the sun rises from the fourth door and sets in the fourth and returns to the fifth door of the east 30 mornings and rises from it and set in the fifth door. And then the day becomes longer by 2 parts and amounts to 11 parts. And the night becomes shorter and amounts to 7 parts.
Okay. Verse 11, when we look at verse 11, it's saying to us that the sun rises from the fourth door that's in the east, and then it's going to set in the fourth door in the west. How many times is this going to do that, y'all? From what we read from verses 7 to 10?
30.
30 times. So what this sentence does, it gives you a summary of what it did in the prior verses. Then we have an and. That means in addition to that, it's going to return. How does it return? Remember, I told y'all it goes after it leaves out of the door in the west, it's going to continue on its circuit, going through the north, and come back to the east. So that's why you see me put this word in bold letters so you can understand what the sun do. Okay. When it returns to the east, it's going to come out or rise out of the fifth door for 30 mornings. So now we're getting what? We get into what? Month what? This is month what? Month 2.
Month 2.
Very important for your
All right.
side notes. Because as you're reading this, you got to keep, you have to keep these details up. And it's going to do it for how many mornings? 30 mornings. Okay. And then it goes on to say it rises from the fifth door of the east, and it's going to set in the fifth door of what?
The west.
The west. Again, it's going to do it what? 30 times. So imagine, let's go back to the circuit here. This is talking about the part we can see. It comes out of the east, right? And it's moving to your right. And it goes through the south, coming to the west to set in the fifth door. And now that's something to see. Now we see why the sun moves in that direction. Like it's a half circle. Okay.
Right.
Here, I just put a reminder. Remember the first law regarding the rising and the setting of the sun. So what is the law about the sun rising? What is the law that this chapter was telling us?
Rises in the east.
After rise in the east, right? So if it rises in the east, what is the law about its setting?
That's in the west.
West.
Okay. So if the sun is not doing this, we need to be what? Talking to the Father and ask what's going on, right?
Right.
So this is something to weed out the tares doctrines. Do you see what I'm saying? The prophet writings would
Yes.
give you what we should follow. That's how you can weed out the tares doctrines. That's how you can know what is true. That now we begin to see what the Messiah is saying, that we have the prophets who are the mouthpiece of God. So when you reject what the Father gave them to say, what you're doing, you're rejecting Yahuwah's truth. You're not rejecting the prophets, you are rejecting God. You are rejecting his word. That's what you're doing. Okay? So if we're in month 2, y'all, what season will month 2 be? According to what I show you about the calendar of the sun. Remember that chart that we had? So it's the first month. Okay, in other words, what is the first month?
Where the fourth door was, so that's
What is the first month of the sun? When we're looking at the sun year.
When?
There we go, right here. Did somebody say something? What is the sun's first month when we're looking at from an Israelite point of view?
oh, Israelite. Okay.
Not from a Adamic point of view, okay?
Yeah.
But when for the sun first month, what season would that fall in?
Like spring.
I give you a little hint. If we in the 12th month,
Is it winter?
and the 12th month is what?
Winter?
If we winter. So what is the next season to come?
Spring?
Spring. Then when you first read this, you won't be able to put this together until you get to the end of the chapter. Okay? Spring. I need to highlight this. So what would month 2 be, y'all?
Spring?
Mhm.
It'll still be spring.
Still be spring. Now y'all not speaking in confidence. Now I'll give y'all a little hint. Y'all may want to go back and review, how can I say, the writings that we talked about, especially in Jubilees. Okay? So for homework, y'all probably need to go back and review your past notes. Okay?
Okay.
So month 2 would be spring, and you got to know why it's going to be spring. Because, you know, a person say, well, how do I know that month 2 is spring? What is your proof? What is your evidence? See what I'm saying? So if you don't speak it in confidence, I'm going to wonder if, okay, well, how do they know it's spring?
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I gave y'all the foundation of the season, and it's in Jubilees. And we're going to talk about that briefly in this class session. Okay. And then in my side note here, when we get to 13, 14, we're going to see why this is spring. Okay. Okay, verse 12. It goes on to say in verse 12 that daylight becomes longer by 2 parts. So when it's adding up the length of daylight, it becomes a total of 11 parts. So if daylight is 11 parts, it's going to make the night to become shorter. So night will equal to 7 parts. I know you don't have this information, so we got to do a little math to figure out why is this so. Okay. So in the prior verses above, verse 10 through 8, it told us that daylight was 10 parts, and it told us that night was 8 parts, right? That was in the prior one.
Mhm.
Let me highlight that. Because you got to know this part. So month 1, we have daylight being 10 parts and night being 8 parts. Then when we get to month 2, which is the 5th door, okay, now daylight is 11 parts and night is 7 parts. Now, what is the difference between 10 parts and 11 parts, y'all? What is the difference?
Are you talking like the hours difference or maybe day and night?
What are the difference between parts? If month 1 has 10 parts, and this is month 2 having 11 parts, what are the difference between these two?
Oh, it's an hour different.
One
One part.
part difference. Remember your math, carry your units over, okay? 1 part difference. With night, if night was 8 parts in month 1, and now in month 2 is 7 parts, what is the difference between them?
It went down 1 part.
Went down 1 part, okay? But when we look at verse 12, it's telling us what? Daylight becomes longer by 2 parts, right?
Yes.
And night, it don't tell you how many parts difference, but it just give you what the sum would be. So it's gave us 7. So with math, you can figure out what is the base or what is the pi or what is the root they're working from when we look at this verse. Okay. And I need to put down month 2 so y'all can see this. Okay. So this is where math will come in now, because we're going to get the root of this. All right. So because we have this information about the 2nd month, which is the sun coming through the 50, not 50, but coming through the 5th door for 30 mornings or 30 daylights, we can figure out what is X. What is the root they're working from, y'all? Okay. So it gave us the total of daylight being 11 parts. So I know that my calculation or my formula has to equal to 11 parts, right? Because then it also told us that daylight becomes longer because we are adding 2 parts to it, right? Do everybody understand me on that part? So this is why I set my formula up to x plus 2 equal 11 parts. Now in math, x represent what? The unknown, okay? But we can figure out the unknown when we set our formula up, kind of like algebraic equations, all right? So when I set my formula up, and y'all, and I know I don't expect everybody to know all the steps in math, okay? But how I would figure this out, I would have to subtract 2 parts on each side, subtract 2 parts over here, and subtract 2 parts from 11. So I have my x by itself, because I want to figure out what is x equal to. And when I did that, I learned that when you take 11 parts minus 2 parts, it's going to equal 9. Now, how I can check that this answer is correct, I have to plug in 9 where my x is. That's what I did. I put 9 where x is. So when I add 9 plus 2, it equals 11 parts. So now we see why that this verse said that daylight increase. When it says longer, that means what? To increase. So this is why the total increase is 2 parts. But now we get in the root, right? We see the root,
Yeah.
which going to help us understand verses 7 through 10. Same thing with night. I set it up because it said what? Night becomes shorter. So that means what? Take away. I need to highlight these words because we're dealing with word problems here. Now in math, ain't gonna lie, word problems, I can do some, but it was not my favorite because sometimes the wording can be tricky. So with math problems, you have to look for key words. So night becomes shorter. So I know shorter means what? To take away. So the length of night would be shorter. So in other words, the length of night would be taken away, to decrease. So the operation to show that would be subtraction. Subtraction. So this is why I have here x minus 2 parts. It's the opposite of daylight. Do y'all see this? It's the opposite of daylight because this verse in verse 12 told us that daylight is going to be what? Longer. Longer. So this is why I have to subtract instead of adding. Do y'all see this?
Yes,
Yeah.
because daylight
Yes.
is already longer.
Yes. So
All
this
right.
is why I have to do the opposite of daylight. So with night, I would have to subtract x minus 2 parts to equal 7. To figure that out, I did my algebraic operation. So I get 7 parts plus 2 equals 9 parts. So by doing this calculation, I'm getting to the root. I'm getting to the base. Okay. We're going to plug this in with verse 10, with verse 7 through 10. So with night decrease in its length by 2 parts. It decreased in its length by 2 parts, which is the reason why it's 7. Now that I know the root, and the root is, let me type this out so y'all can see it before I go back up. Is 9, meaning that daylight equals 9 parts. And then night equals 9 parts. Do y'all see? As far as the root.
Yes.
Now, if you didn't know that, all you when you read further down, you will see it again. Okay. Now you see why it's so important to write these things out. When I learned about the Most High, when it comes to His Word, we have to write these things out to see and hear what He's telling us. Okay. So now that we know that, let me highlight that so y'all can see it easy in the notes. We can go back up to 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we're going to fill in the blank here. So before daylight became 10 parts here, what was it before that? What is our root or our foundation? How many parts was daylight before it became 10 parts?
11.
Let me go down to the notes.
10.
What did I say what our root and foundation was?
9.
9 parts. So daylight started out with how many parts in the beginning before the change?
9.
9.
9.
Look, I can't hear you.
Because when it's increased by a part, what is one part increase to 9 parts? What do the word increase means?
Add more.
To add more, right? So if I add 1 part to 9 parts, what am I going to get?
10.
10.
10. Now, do y'all see what verse 7, 8, 9, 10 was telling you?
Yes.
So within this month, daylight will grow to be 10 parts. And if daylight grow to be 10 parts, it got to take away from something, right?
Right.
So if night was 9 parts, how does it become 8?
You take away one.
You got to take away a part. Do y'all see what's happening?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's what it's doing, because the circuit is what it is. This is where you get the 12 hours of daylight and the 12 hours of night. It is what it is. But when you are taking and adding, it has to pull from somewhere, right?
Right.
That's what it's doing. So to make a long story short, when daylight increase, it has to take away from the night hours. So it's adding time to the amount of daylight we have. Same thing, vice versa. When night increase, it has to take away from the daylight hours. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we know what the part is, because part was the unknown, we didn't know how many parts we was dealing with and what it represent. Okay. So because of these verses below, what do 9 parts represent, y'all? I just gave it to you.
The root and foundation.
Okay. But if I was to translate it in hours, what do the 9 parts represent?
Whole day.
A whole day. But how many hours? If daylight is 9 parts and night is 9 parts, how many hours?
10.
18.
10.
12.
Wouldn't it be 18?
What did the Messiah say? How many hours in daylight?
6.
Let me go to the scriptures.
22 hours of people.
I don't need that one.
There's 24, then it'd be 12. But
You're not speaking up where we can hear you.
if it's 24 hours in our day, it'd probably be 12.
Say it again.
If it's 24 hours in our day, then it'd be like 12, since it's half and half.
Okay, but I need for you to be straight to the point. How
So
many
that
hours in daylight? Because
12,
you're on it.
12
Huh?
hours, 12 hours,
Okay. And how many hours a night?
12 hours.
There you go. But let me pull the scriptures up. Okay.
Okay.
12 hours of daylight and 12 hours a night. So so when you convert 9 parts into hours, how many hours?
Be
If
9 hours.
daylight is 9 and night is 9 parts, how many hours?
Maybe 9.
Where you get 9 from?
Dividing by 18.
Nope. Okay, hold on for a minute, y'all. Let me find these scriptures. Let's see. Hours. Y'all know the answer, but y'all overthinking it.
Yeah, that's what I be doing too much.
Because y'all just said it and I
I
just
think
gave
it's
it.
12. I think it's 12 hours.
Can't think it. You got to know.
Okay,
You got to
it is
stay
12.
confident.
It's 12. It's 12
Okay.
hours.
So 9 parts is, when you
12
convert it
hours.
to hours,
12
it's
hours.
12 hours. Okay, I'm looking for that verse that he gave. I saw 11 hour. I have to find it later because I don't want to waste too much time because we got to get through this chapter. So if daylight is 9 parts and you just said when we convert it to hours, daylight has 12 hours and night is 9 parts. When you convert it to hours, night has 12 hours. That's what the 9 parts is. Very important when you do these math calculations. We have to know what the X was. Once we find out what the X is, we learned that it was 9 parts. And when you convert parts to hours, it's talking about 12 hours. Very important. All right. So what this son did, when we look at our picture, it came through the 5th door in the east for 30 mornings. And the length of daylight, when it was doing this, it increased to 2 parts. And when it increased to 2 parts, it did it on the, I forgot to specify here. On the 30th morning. On the 30th morning. I know the way that verse is written, but you'll see it in the next verse. So it does this on the 30th morning. What is the 30th morning, y'all? Because we just talked about what morning is.
Daylight.
Daylight. Daylight. So on this 30th day, which is daylight, that means this is the last day in this month. Do y'all see this now? Last day in this month, daylight becomes 11 parts and night becomes 7 parts. So when you see the word becomes, that means it's growing to that. And this is going to take place in the first month. Do y'all see that?
Yes, sis.
Okay. So in the last day in this first month, daylight is going to be 11 parts and night is going to be 7 parts. Very important for us to know. So it went from 9 to 11 in the 5th door. So when it gets to the west, like I said, it's coming on this point. When it gets to the west in this 5th door, that's still dealing with the 30th daylight and it's going to go down. But you're going to notice on this day that the length of daylight is 11 parts. So that's why you see me put a plus sign, 2 parts. You see the direction that it's moving from the 4th door. It's working this way. Okay. As we observe the heaven more, we're going to see where the sun rises, if it rises in the northeast section or in the southeast section. Then we know how to line our doors up on the diagram. But right now, I'm just going to keep it as is. Okay. So you see how this movement is going from the 4th door now to the 5th door in the second month. Okay. All right, now we're going to read. I'm going to do something with this toolbar. My next read, I want you to read 13, 14. Yeah, 13 and 14.
And it returns to the east and enters into the 6th door and rises and sets in the 6th door 1 and 30 mornings on account of its sign. On that day, the day becomes longer than the night, and the day becomes double the night, and the day becomes 12 parts, and the night is shortened and becomes 6 parts.
Okay. So we look at the verse 13. Notice here, these some key words. Sun returns to the east and enter into what? The 6th door. So now we're changing from the 5th door into the 6th door. And in this door, it's going to rise and set. Rises in the east of the 6th door and sets in the west in the 6th door. For how many mornings or daylight, y'all? How many?
30.
30.
31.
31.
Oh,
31,
31,
sis.
31, 31.
You're right, 31. And notice here, through this in here, due to the sun's shine, sun sign, sun's sign, it's giving us a hint by using this keyword here. I'm going to highlight this keyword. Okay. I'm gonna do something with this. Put it down to the bottom. There we go. There. Now that should be giving you a hint or bringing something to your mind. Okay. So what month are we in now?
Third.
Third month, right? How many days this month is going to have?
31.
31, right? Now, what season are we in?
Still spring.
We're still in spring. And I like how you said it. You said it in confidence. Right? Now, we're going to get to the part of confirming how do you know that this is what spring season. Okay? So third month, spring season. And I want to see if somebody can guess. Here's the hint. It says, when we look at verse 14, it said daylight going to grow. And on this last day in this month, which is the 31st day, daylight is going to be double night, meaning the sun will have 12 parts and the night will have 6 parts. So as you see, 12 is double of 6. Because what is 6 times 2? 12, right? So now we see what the verse is talking about. What sign do y'all think, or what is the Gentile term for this day?
Leo.
Leo. Keep guessing. You're getting close, but it's way before Leo.
Oh, okay.
This is the month of you talking about the 3rd month or the 4th month?
Okay, we in month 3.
Oh, so March. So
actually, don't think about that Gregorian calendar is going to mess you up. Right now, empty your mind. We're in the 3rd month of the Most High calendar.
Oh, okay.
But we're dealing with the sun. We're not dealing with the moon. We're dealing with the sun now. Okay. And in this sun 3rd month, y'all, on this last day, that's very important to know. On the 31st morning or the 31st daylight, you're going to have the daylight being double tonight. What time of the year will we have that?
Summer.
Huh?
It's during the summertime.
Summer, but what is the Gentile
Wouldn't it be spring?
term? Remember now, this is the 3rd month.
If it's 3rd month, wouldn't it be Gemini?
Let me think. trying to think because I had to pull that calendar up.
See, I don't know the names of those
I don't want to say the
signs.
zodiac.
I don't
Okay.
keep up with them anymore.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know what what they call this. I don't know none of
So
those signs.
I thought for the month, I thought for month 3 of the sun, for the Gentiles, for
Wait a
sign
minute.
3.
Uh-huh.
The Father just gave it to me. Okay.
Okay.
Gemini is let me see what sign that is. And we count them off. What is the first sign in the zodiac?
I'm unsure.
Aries,
Aries. What's the second one?
Taurus,
Okay. Taurus. And the third one?
Gemini,
Gemini. What's the fourth one?
Cancer.
Okay.
Could
What
be
is
Cancer.
another term associated with the zodiac sign that we have daylight being longer than night?
Then it'd be Cancer.
And I'm gonna give y'all a hint. Now you hit it on the head. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Let me back that up because I'm trying to get these signs straightened in my mind. Actually, yeah, you did hit it on the head because I have to remember the order how it happens. In the Gentiles terminology, they said this is the longest day of the year. What is another term they would say? The
It's
longest
like
day of the year.
it's not daylight saving, but it's
Okay, look at the notes.
some.
What I just typed here.
The summer.
What I just typed here.
Summer solstice.
Okay. What y'all know about the summer solstice? Every year you hear the Gentiles talking about this.
No, there's something about is it like pushing the time up, or how it goes?
You're getting it confused with daylight savings. Daylight savings is going to happen in your spring season, and then they're going to correct themselves in the fall.
Oh, okay.
We're dealing with the length of daylight. In other words, you're going to have daylight, what we call evening, right?
Yes.
Okay. I want y'all to clear your minds because y'all overthinking this. We done been through this before. Clear your minds. On the summer solstice day, this is a Gentile term. What happens on this day? And verse 14 talks about it.
Is it like when the sun travels the longest, and so it's like mostly daylight?
Mostly daylight. That is the day in the year where you're going to have the most amount of daylight. Do y'all see this now?
Yes.
Okay. Clear your minds. So the sign that you're going to see this happen, if I do my math right, well, not my math, I'm trying to remember on the top of my head. Because what Enoch is telling you, this don't happen until it's on the last day of the sun's month, which is what? The 31st day.
Yeah.
Okay. So on this day, you're going to have daylight being the longest the night. This is the longest amount of light that's going to happen on this day. Okay. So doing it on the top of my head, and I'll tell you what, I better bring it up just to make sure I'm gonna bring up the calendar. Let me go to my agenda so I can get it correct. I don't want to say the wrong thing because I'm a type of person I have to see it too. So looking at the calendar, we're gonna go to I'm not looking at the moon month. What I'm looking at, and this thing takes a while because I have a lot of stuff in this on this page. Okay, it's confirming what I first thought. When the person said Cancer, you was on the money. What sign is Cancer?
Oh, that's right.
In the Hebrew tongue, what is the sign of Cancer in the Hebrew tongue for Mazarah?
Sign
The
4.
fourth
Fourth
sign.
sign.
Yeah.
Fourth sign. And I'm going to the calendar to verify so I can show y'all. Okay. Here we go. Thank you, Father. I was right here. This is done with sign 4. In my notes on the calendar, you see this is when daylight is 12 parts and night is 6 parts. This is the time when you will have the most amount of daylight on that day, and it falls in Cancer. Okay, Cancer.
All right.
Now, what day in the month, in the sun's third month now, when this happened, y'all, because this is where the parts you're gonna have to write it out so you won't get confused. What day does this happen on? Look at that verse. What day?
The first.
First.
You talking about it happened on the first day in the sun's third month?
No, it's the last day of the third month.
The last day of the third month.
Yes.
It's very important to remember that, because when you go to like timeanddate.com and you're trying to see the length of daylight, it's very important to know when this happens. So it's going to happen on the sun's last day in this month. That is a sign unto us that is the end of that month. And the sign that it gives to us from the heavens, you're going to have daylight being 12 parts and night being 6 parts. So when we see that happen, that's a sign unto us given from the heavens, which fulfilled Genesis chapter 1, verse 14, letting us know that this is the end of the sun's third month. You want to write that down in your notes. So the next day that comes after the sun's third month and 31st day, the next day is your first day of summer. Do y'all see this?
Yes.
So the 31st day is what? The last day in this month. So that's the last day of spring. The last day of spring. I need to type that in. When you're looking at the fourth sign of Cancer, it's going to dictate unto you or declare unto you the last day of spring. Remember, with the Father, he always have a beginning point. He always have an aleph and a tau, a beginning and an end. So we can know what begins and what, and so we can know where it begins and where it ends. Okay?
Yes.
So when we look at verse 14, because remember, as each day go by, the amount of light is what growing and increasing. And at the same time, when night come in, it's going to what? Decrease as each day go by. in the sun's third month, working itself up to that day. So you're going to see a gradual change happening from day to day to day. All right. So when it gets to this last day in this month, which is the 31st day, that's when you're going to have daylight being 12 parts and night being 6 parts. So what we see a change is that night going to increase in a total, and I'm going to show you where I get this total from, in 3 parts. Because what is the foundation?
9.
What is that foundation? 9. So when I add 3 to 9, we get what?
12.
12. That's why. But the opposite going to happen with night, because we got to take away from somewhere. It got to borrow it, right? So
Yes.
it's got to pull from somewhere. So with night, this is why night becomes 6 part, because we're taking away 3 from the 9 parts. So 6 minus 9, we get a -3, and a negative means what? To take away. Okay. Now the next question is, we got to figure out, we got to convert 12 parts to hours and 6 parts to hours. But the only way we're going to know about that, we got to keep going. Okay. Now let's look at the diagram. So here when we look at verses 13, 14, we're going from now what? We in the 6th door now. So in the 6th door, we have what? 31 mornings or daylights. Okay. And it's the sun's 3rd month. So already we have completed what? The 1st month is in door 4. The 2nd month is in door 5. And the 6th month, and the 3rd month is in door 6. But notice the change. We went from 10 parts to 11 parts, now to 12 parts. Do y'all see that?
Yes.
Look at these doors. Okay. And I probably need to make a mental note to myself that door 4 would be 10 parts. And that happens on what? The last day on each month. The last day on each month. And you're going to see why as we keep going. So I went to time and date, and they just start doing this, which I'm glad, because now I can compare my numbers on how many days we have for spring, summer, fall, and winter. And they give you it in exact time, and we'll talk more later about that. Okay. But what they're doing is they're giving you the time and date when we have the sun enter into the equinox and the summer solstice. So I'm happy to see that they start doing that. Okay. And you'll see why it's good to have, so we can compare our numbers. And here's a chart they also provide, giving you the dates and the times of the equinox and the solstice. And then FYI, remember the Hebrew word tekafar means the end of the circuit or the end of the year for the sun that's only falling in the fall season. And you'll see why. Because remember I tell you about the Hebrew 7th month? The Hebrew 7th month represent the Aleph and Tav, the beginning and the end, the Alpha and Omega. So when we go back from the Adamic point of view, that's when the sun actually began and end its first year. Okay?
Yes.
So you have the date and times for that, and we'll come back later to this. Again, and this is based on Telluride, Israel. Remember, that's the starting point. That's where we look at for our dates and times. So when we're looking at the length of daylight on time and date, they do have a chart where you can actually see this. Okay. So when we look at the summer solstice for the year of 2021, this year, okay, we have that date for June the 21st at 6:32 a.m. That's very important to know. In other words, it's giving you the date and time when it entered into the 4th sign of Mazzaroth that the Gentile calls Cancer. Very important to know. Then you know where to put it on your calendar. Because remember, our day begins from sundown to sundown. So you have to know what day of the moon this fall in. So I like them for doing that. So, and over here, let me show you the picture of June the 21st right here. They got it 6:32. And what it's saying that when we get to this day, we will have a total of 93 days for spring. 93 days. No, I'm sorry. Make sure I read right. No, okay, 93 days going from spring to the summer solstice. I'm sorry. Thank you, Father. Let me correct myself again. 93 days and 15 hours and 49 minutes. So it's calculated either from that point to the summer solstice. That's what I'm seeing, which makes sense because with the spring, it's calculating from the first day of spring to, I'm sorry, from the day after. Wait a minute. Let me stop. I'm going to show you why this number is significant because I have seen 92 and 93. How I calculate it, I go from spring to summer, then from summer to fall, from fall to winter, and then winter to spring. That's how it's doing it. But I'll explain more about that. I don't want to get you confused. Okay. But I have seen these numbers even in my calculations. So basically, it's telling you how many days there are in spring, they get for 92 days. How many days are in summer, they get 93 days. How many days is in fall, 89. And how many days in winter, they got 88. But when you add all these days up, you either gonna get 365 and a quarter or 366. And that's dealing with second Enoch. Okay. So the date of the summer solstice, we're going to look at as June the 21st and at 6:32. And that's in Israel daylight savings time. Okay. Israel daylight savings time. If they did not have daylight savings time, the correct time would be, I think they spring forward. So by them going forward to an hour, the correct time would be probably 5:32, right? Is that what y'all getting?
Well, yes.
With spring forward, remember how they changed the time? I wish
Oh,
they don't
yeah.
do that. So actually, when you see daylight saving time, what they say is they are ahead of the most high time by an hour. Okay, by an hour. So actually, the correct time would be 5:32. But anyway, we're following what they're giving us. Okay, so on June 21st at 6:32 a.m. So when you pull it up and you want to look at the amount of daylight, they said that the amount of daylight, and look at the chart, it gives you when the sun rises and sunset. But remember, I told y'all we got to start with the timing when you first see that light appear in the heavens. So this is probably just an estimation, may not be exact. Okay, when you look at amount of daylight compared to amount of light, but this is just to give us an idea. So on this day, what they calculate, they got a total of 14 hours, 10 minutes, and 56 seconds. Okay? Do y'all see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So remember, this is not an exact calculation because the exact calculation would be looking at when you first have light in the heavens to the time when you have no light in the heavens. Okay. So what I'm giving you now, this is a shortcut to understand what those parts represent. Okay, do y'all see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So what is 9 parts?
12 hours.
12 hours, right? And then when you go to 12 parts, you get what? If they saying daylight is about 14 hours.
Yeah.
So you're going from 9 parts, which is 12 hours. 12
15.
hours to 14 is what?
parts.
Is it fit?
So we already said that 9 parts, I need to put in parentheses, is 12 hours. Right?
Yes.
So if I'm going from 9 parts
11 parts.
to 12 parts, is what?
6 parts.
6
6 parts.
I'm sorry, Mom. If I'm going from 9 parts, which is 12 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going from that to 12 parts, and I'm giving y'all a
Is
shortcut.
it 15 parts? 3 because 3. Oh.
Sis. Don't overthink it.
Oh.
If I'm going from 9 parts, which is 12 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to 12 parts,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm showing you the shortcut of the solstice date. Let's go to this chart here. On this solstice date, it's telling you it's about 14 hours. So what is 12 parts?
14 hours?
14 hours. So what is the difference between 12 hours to 14?
2.
2.
2 hours. And forgive me, my brothers and sisters, because I forgot how I put this together. Because what I was going to share with you, when you read a whole chapter, you will learn what 9 parts is. It's going to give it to you, because we know on the equinox day, how many hours is day and night to each other?
Equal?
Hmm?
Are you talking about like?
On the equinox day, the
Oh,
spring
equal.
equinox and the fall equinox, how many hours are to one another?
12, like equal?
12 hours. Okay. That information is given unto you in chapter 72. But what I'm sharing with you is the shortcut way, because I was trying to remember if I came up with the answer by a math calculation or by observing the heavens. And for me, it was from observing the heavens. Okay, and you're gonna see why. Because when I try to do a math calculation, it's another piece of information that is needed to figure out what is a ninth part. Remember, it's in the beginning, it's a ninth part that was added. So we have to figure out what is a ninth part. So what I did, some people say this is a way of cheating. Yes. I used the witness that our Father gave us. I used the heavens to figure out what is that ninth part. And forgive me, I forgot how I lined this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at on this date, for the date of the summer solstice, which is the 4th sign that the Gentile call Cancer, I learned that daylight is about 14 hours. Now, when you look at this chart, you will see, minutes and seconds, and you can see how it increased to that. Okay. To after this day, it's going to start to decrease. So you see all these plus signs here of how much time it increased from day to day. And then after this day, you're going to see a decrease. Okay. Remember, with time and date, they go from the rising and the setting of the sun, but actually we know the light appeared in the heavens before that. So that's not exact. When you look at exact time, you have to look at the exact time when the light appear in the heaven to the exact time when the light go away. But no, we're just using this to get an estimation. Okay. Very important to know. So I use the witness that the Father provide unto us to figure out how many hours 12 parts is. That's what I did. Okay. So based on the diagram below, we learned that 12 parts is 14 hours, okay? So if 12 parts, 14 hours, which is a 2-hour difference. How many hours is 6 parts? So in the beginning of this lesson, I share with you the evening and the morning makes up a day, right?
Yes.
And y'all had shared with me that daylight is 12 hours and night is 12 hours. So if daylight increased to 14 hours, it went from 12 to 14, how many hours would night be? Remember, the daylight has to pull from the night.
It would be
And a hint,
10,
both these
10,
numbers going to have to add up to 24.
10
10,
hours. 10 hours.
10 hours. Okay, 10 hours.
Trying to
Now
add
y'all
in my
seeing that.
head. Yeah, I was trying to add in my head.
Write it down, don't do it. Write it down, okay? This is the way you can cheat, by using the heavens, who's a witness. And I know I'm gonna have some naysayers. We're in the word of the Most High. We have scriptures to prove unto you that our Father do use the heaven and the earth as his witness. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 26 is one. In the Apocrypha, we have 2nd Ezra chapter 2, verse 14, Judith chapter 7, verse 28, okay, etc. So that is the proof. Okay.
Okay.
But when you read chapter 72, you will learn that 9 parts is 12 hours, because we all know how many hours daylight and night should be. Now, your next question is, how can they get 14 hours, 10 minutes? Let me see what they have for this day. For the length of daylight, remember this is an estimation, it's not exact. How can they get 14 hours, 10 minutes, and 56 seconds? Ain't it supposed to be only 14?
Yes.
All right. That's the question you got to ask yourself. Now, for those who have been in, the gathering for a while, do y'all remember what I shared with y'all in the past to explain that could explain this? Remember, he gave it unto the prophets.
Is it like dealing with the moon and the sun? Like how can I explain it? Like the moon catching up with the sun days or something like that.
Now, I agree with you as far as he does use the moon and the sun to manifest signs and messages unto us. Like, for example, he's identifying to the world that the Israelites are not in their proper place. They are scattered throughout the 4 corners of the earth. Okay. So the heavens going to manifest certain signs of that. That was in the past, I shared with you YAHUAH prophetic messages. YAHUAH prophetic messages. Do some of y'all remember that? Did anybody remember these messages I shared with you?
Yes.
Okay. Again, little hint, you want to review them. All right. Because it's going hand with the calendar and the mysteries. Let me see what that part is at. Right here. For he says unto us, this is our Father speaking. He said, for in your restoration is the fullness of the earth and the realignment of the cosmos and the universe. Now we know that that's pertaining to all the things in the heavens. And remember, the earth is a part of the heavens, where it's centered at and everything.
Yeah.
So the key word here, he said what? Realignment, right?
Yes.
So that's letting me know that there's some things out of order or out of alignment Now, what has been happening in the earth, and it goes in hand with what the prophet Isaiah has prophesied unto us in chapter 66. What has been happening in the earth? That is a sign unto Israel that he's going to restore them.
Things are going like out of order, like
Yeah.
But it's something that the earth is doing itself. She is doing this herself.
It's shifting.
Shifting how? How is she shifting? What is taking place within her? What is one of the things that the Messiah and as well as the prophet, especially Isaiah, talks about, and is dealing with a birth of a nation? What is happening to the earth, to her? Key keyword is she's not having birth pains, to show as a sign that a birth of a nation shall come forth as prophesied by Isaiah 66. So what is the sign she's manifesting unto us?
is it like earthquakes or anything?
Earthquakes.
Okay.
And there have been documentation by man saying that every time we have an earthquake, it affects time. And there has been a video, it's on the calendar. That's why I'm saying y'all get some time. You need to go to the Google documents and review the calendar, because I put things in there for a reason. There's a video of those who have been watching the heavens that said there is a shifting that has taken place. The sun no longer rises and set where it used to. It has moved. In other words, the earth has moved. Do y'all see how these things go hand in hand with Genesis 1 verse 14? Genesis chapter 1 verse 14. So this is why when we go to this picture here, let me see, we go back. This is why we might have a little bit more daylight that's going past the 14 hours now. And why night is lesser than 10 hours now. Because if I take this number that time and date has, I'll go back to my sheet, and I take 14, 10, 56 minus 24 hours, it's going to be less than 10 hours, y'all. It's going to be 9 hours and 4 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. It's going to be 9 hours, something like 50 minutes and 4 seconds, something like that.
Yeah.
Or 49 seconds, I think. Yeah. Let's see. 9 hours. I just put like this. I'm doing it on the top of my head. It's gonna be 9 hours and so many minutes and seconds instead of 10. This is something we should be praising Yah, because now we're seeing what he's saying. His heaven is manifested unto you, Israelites, who you are. The earth is manifesting unto you who you are. They are what? This is what he said in his message. He goes on to say, the realignment of the cosmos and the universe. It is life from the dead. Have you not heard that all creation groans and travails for your manifestation as a nation, as a people? So the earth and the heavens and all his creation are moaning and groaning until you are restored to your proper place. And for those who have been watching as the Messiah instruct us, we see it in the calendar. We see daylight is a little bit more longer than what she's supposed to be, or what he's supposed to be. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So now that you have that, we can go forth. There is a calculation, but I want to get confirmation on another piece of information. So that's a topic we're going to have to revisit. But this is the shortcut you can use. Okay. So now we're going to look at the next part of verses, verse 15. Let me go over here. Read verse 15, 16, and read verse 15 and 16.
And the sun mounts up to make the day shorter and the night longer, and the sun returns to the east and enters into the sixth door, and rises from it and sets 30 mornings. And when 30 mornings are accomplished, the day decreases by exactly 1 part and becomes 11 parts, and the night 7.
Okay. So we look at verse 15 and 16. What month are we in now? Based on what we read.
It's you says the sixth door.
In the 6th door. So
Oh,
what
then
month are we in now?
that's the
What?
third month still.
Let's go back up. Because remember, you got to keep up. So if y'all got some paper, write this stuff down as we go. We said verse 13 and 14 pertains to the 3rd month.
Oh, the fourth month.
The 3rd month. Verse 13, 14 pertains to the 3rd month. So
Yes.
what is verse 15 and 16 pertaining to?
The fourth month.
4th month. And what season would that be?
Summer.
Summer. How do we know it's summer? What is, go ahead.
It was the last day of spring.
The last day of spring, meaning that the sun entered into the 4th sign. That's how we know. Okay. We're going to move a little fast because of time, but I want us to get through this chapter because next time when we meet, we will do a quick review on this chapter, but we need to get into something else. Okay. All right. So we're in summer, and when the sun goes through the 6th door, and it's best to look at the diagram again. So it's telling us it's going back through that 6th door again, right? Which we the 4th month. And it does it for 30 mornings. But notice what's going to take place. It's going to decrease, and see the word is it's going to decrease exactly by 1 part. So instead of increasing in daylight now, it's going to decrease. So if daylight decreases, y'all, what's going to happen with night?
Increase.
It's going to increase. So it's going to do the opposite. Okay. So notice what this take place. This take place in the 6th door. Okay. So now what that means, let me see if I need to go. I don't need to go down. What that means, so if it decreased by 1 part, what is daylight now?
11 hours.
11 parts.
I mean 11
11 parts. That's okay. And how do I know this? Remember, you got to keep up with all the information from the verses above because it's not going to keep telling you the same thing over and over. All right. These are word problems. So you have to remember all the information above. So how I got this, I took 1 part minus 12 parts because now it's going to decrease by a part, making it 11 parts. So if I took away 1 part from daylight, I have to what? Add 1 part, because we got to do the opposite to night, because now night is going to increase. All right, in its length. So we add 1 part to 6 parts, and I got the number 6 from verses 13 and 14. Let's make it 7 parts. Now, trick question. Would daylight still be longer than night in this month, in the 4th month, which is summer?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Now, okay. Now I'm glad you're seeing the whole picture. So here's a diagram. Let me see. Can I minimize this so you can see the diagram a little bit more? So now we in door 6, and we see in door 6, it contains the 3rd month and the 4th month. Now we're seeing what the sun's doing, right? Okay.
Yes.
In the east and in the west. Now we're gonna look at
thinking about a 7th month as a 7th door at first, and I realized, hold up, it's 6th door. So when it went, she was talking about when it was going back.
So to move some things along, we're not going to read every single verse because now these verses going to walk us through to each and every month. Okay. So what I did, as y'all see in the notes, I already got the highlights. Okay. And then we're going to come back to that chapter and read the other verses. So when we look at verse 17 and 18, now we're seeing a change. Now it's going from what? The 6th door. Now it's going to the 5th door, right?
Yes.
So what month is this going to be now?
That's going to be the 5th month.
5th month. And what season?
Still summer.
Still summer. Okay. And how many mornings or daylight is going to do?
30.
30. Very important to know. So the 5th month is going to have 30 days, right? And in this month, we have daylight now becoming 10 parts and night becoming 8 parts. So I need to give this to you. We already said in the 4th month, daylight was 14 hours. So what is going to happen is that's what I did. Okay. What is going to happen if I'm doing this on the top of my head? Let's see here. And we said, okay. So for your homework, I'm going to start this, but y'all going to have to come back to these notes and add in how many hours daylight would be and how many hours night would be. Okay. And I'm going to give you this information. One night part, a night, is 40 minutes. How did I know this? Remember when I asked y'all that how many hours did the summer, not summer, how many hours did daylight increase? And we said we went from 12 hours to 14 hours,
Yes.
which is 2 hours difference, right? And I noticed there was a change with each month, okay? So we went from, think about it, I want you to visualize it. We went from the equinox day to the summer solstice. So how many months is between the equinox day and the summer solstice? I want you to guess.
1.
How many months? How many months make spring, y'all?
Oh, 3. 3.
3 months. 3 months. So by knowing this, and I know that the difference between the equinox day and the summer solstice is 2 hours, right? That's what we got, 2 hours difference. I converted those 2 hours into minutes, okay? When I converted 2 hours into minutes, remember that's 60 minutes in an hour, 120 minutes. And we said how many months?
3.
So if I want to know how many minutes that each month is giving, so daylight can grow into 14 hours,
40.
that's how I got it, 40 minutes. Remember, I cheated. I used the heavens to figure this out. So your homework assignment is to go through all these verses and see how many hours daylight should be and how many hours night should be. Do y'all see this now? So I already gave y'all the jump. Okay.
Yeah.
I gave you the verses above. Only thing I didn't give was 7, 8, and 9. I don't have confidence. Y'all don't be able to do 7, 8, and 9. 7, 8, and 9, I will wait till you get to the 12th month, and then from the 12th month, figure out 7, 8, and 9 verse. But starting at verse 11 on down, I want you to work it down first that way. Let me see here. I put some math in wrong. Let's see. That'd be 21, 3. Let's see. I'm trying to make sure. 3, 2. So that should be 23. Oh, yeah. 23. 13, 20. 13, 20. Okay. If I did this right. 13, 20. Let's see here. I'm just checking something, make sure I put that number in the right spot. Okay, this part, this number should go in this verse. right here in this verse. So 11 parts. Make sure I'm reading this right. I'm going to make sure I got it in the right verse, the right section. Yeah. 11 parts would be 13 hours and 20 minutes. And night would be 10 hours and 40 minutes. So when I get here, daylight is still going to decrease. Yep, that's right. And night is going to increase. That should be right. So that's your homework.
Okay.
All right. Start from make sure, I don't know if I put in verse 11, but start from verse 15, 16, work yourself down, then come back up. Okay. To get those calculations. Because I would have gave you let me make sure I put this in here so you have it. Okay. So there you go. That's your homework. And then we'll review when we come back. Okay. Let's see where we at. So that's verse 17 and 18. And notice here, we are working ourselves, well, not we, but he, which is the son, is working himself back to what? The fifth door. Do y'all see this?
Yeah.
He first started out from the fourth to the fifth to the sixth. Now he's turning around. He's still coming back in that sixth door. But after that, he's going to come back to the fifth and the fourth door. That's how he's working himself. Okay. So y'all see how everything's pointing back to that fourth door, which is the great door,
Yeah.
which is the left. Okay. All right. Let me see if anything else I need to say in this verse. All right, that's enough. So when we get to verse 19 and 20, the sun now is going to the fourth door. And what would this month be, y'all?
The 6th.
The 6th, right? And notice here, it gives us another hint. It said that the sun is going to rise in the fourth door of the east for what? 31 mornings due to the sun's sign. Do y'all hear that? It's giving us another hint.
Yes.
So what is the next sign that this sun is going to do? Do this. And I'll give you a little hint. Let me go down to verse 20 so you can understand what sign that would be. Before we do that,
Equal out?
you already just gave it in verse 20, sis. This 31st day, as my sister said, we're going to equal out. You're going to have day equal night, right?
Yes.
First, what season is this?
It's going to be the end of summer.
I'm sorry. What season is it for the sun's 6th month? Trick question.
It's the end
Trick
of summer.
question. End of summer. Correct, sis. All right. Now, what sign is this? What sign is this when you have the sun enter into to get daylight to be equal to night?
That equinox, whatever, equinox.
Equinox. They call it the fall equinox, right?
Yeah. Yes.
In the Hebrew tongue, how would a Hebrew say it? Would they say equinox, or what sign would they say?
They would call it the
Sign 6.
yeah.
Think about it. Fourth sign was the indicator, huh?
It would be the are you talking to me?
Okay, let me write it out so y'all can see it, because this is something you have to write out. Fourth sign is what?
The first month.
The fourth sign of Mazaroth, remember I'm talking about Mazaroth, is the declares ending of spring and beginning of summer. That's in the fourth month, right?
Yes.
How many months are in each season?
3.
3 months. So what would be the next sign to indicate when summer ends
Summer
and
is
fall
in.
begins?
Summer's ending into the fall.
What is the next sign? If you have
Oh, the
3
5th.
months,
5th.
you talking about the 5th sign?
No, I'm sorry.
Y'all, okay, I want y'all to listen now. Clear your minds. We said there's 3 months in spring, there's 3 months in summer. So what would be the next sign? I'm giving y'all a little hint.
7.
Sign 7.
Sign 7. There you go. Sign 7 is what? What do the Gentiles call it?
Fall.
No, it's not Libra. It's what's the one before it?
I'm not good with this zodiac.
Oh, you just said it, sis.
Oh,
The
fall.
scales.
Fall.
It has to be the scales. Balance.
Oh, fall
Judgment.
equinox. Fall equinox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is what? Tekrafah. Tekrafah, the beginning and the end. This is where you have the end meeting the beginning. I don't know if I spelled that right. Okay. And this sign is going to declare the ending of summer and the beginning of fall. Okay. What day of the month does this sign happen on? Look at 19. What day of the month in the sun's month? What month did we say we
The
were
end
in?
of the summer.
End of the summer is what? I'm asking for like a date.
In the 6th month.
In the 6th month, on what day of the 6th month?
31.
On the 31st.
31st.
That's when the sun enter into this sign. Do y'all see this now? Okay. So like I said, when you read this chapter, you gotta look for keywords. It's giving you a key. I don't think I spelled that right, but anyway, it is what it is. So this is where you have the end meeting the beginning, left and top. Who else is the left and tall, y'all? Trick. I mean, it's not trick question. This is a
Father.
Our Father, and who else?
Yahushua.
Yahushua. As the son would say, if you sing me, you have seen my Father, for all things are taught unto me by our Father in heaven. He do as his Father does, for they are one, meaning that they are on one accord. They have the same mind. They operate in the same mannerism, in the same way. Okay. So we have night. We have daylight being 9 parts and night being 9 parts. When we translate that into hours, we have 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of night. Now, when you go to timeanddate.com, if you don't see 12 hours of daylight, y'all, why is that so?
If we don't see it.
If you see 12 hours, 15 minutes, so many seconds, why is that so?
From it, like, what's it called? Decreasing, increasing.
Why? If they tell you, well, your prophet told you it has to be 12 hours. Because remember, they're going to go back to Enoch's writings.
Oh.
and they're not going to listen to all the prophets, even the prophets of today. That's what people forget. There are prophets of today telling you what is happening, and it's confirming what Isaiah told unto us about the birth pains.
Alignment going.
The alignment. Until you are restored, Yahusha, who are Israelites, these things going to be out of order. Okay, and the prophet Isaiah confirms this with today's prophets. All right, so when we look at verse 19 and 20, Okay. And we already said 9 parts are equal to 12 hours. We have here the 6th month coming in the 4th door. Do y'all see that?
Yes.
So the 1st month started the 4th door. Now the 6th month is going to start in the 4th door. And this is where we have these parts equal to one another. That's the fall equinox. Well, they call it the fall equinox, which is the tetrapha. That is the end of the sun circuit. This is where you have the end meeting the beginning of the sun circuit now. All right.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Yah.
So y'all done got this homework right here. Y'all done got this one. Daylight is what? 12 hours. And then night is 12 hours.
12
So you ought to
hours.
given that. Okay. Then we get to verse 21 and 22. Now we see a change now. The sun is going to return after the 31st daylight is completed. It's going to return back to the east, and now it's going to come out of the 3rd door, right? And
Yes.
it's going to rise and set in the 3rd door of the east and west for 30 mornings. So what month is this?
7.
We just said, let me see.
Yeah, we was in.
Make sure. I want to make sure. Hold on, y'all. Yeah, we just said 7.
Yeah, 8.
8. So what season are we in the
Fall.
8th month?
Fall.
We in fall. Did I write down the other one too? I want to make sure. Okay. No, not for this one.
Oh yeah, not that one.
Did I skip something?
Yeah.
I think I did. So
Yeah.
this one should be 8. Again, it's the same information, 30 mornings.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fall. How many months can you have for each season?
3.
3 months. Remember the divisions of the year. Moshe talked about that in Jubilees. Okay. And we did, I don't know for everyone, but in our gatherings, we did go over that before we had gotten into Enoch's writings. All right. So this is going to do it for 30 mornings. All right. And what we're going to see happening now, the opposite is going to happen. Night is going to become longer than daylight. And when it gets to the 30th morning or the 30th daylight, you're going to have night being 10 parts and then daylight being 8 parts now. So now we have a what? Decreased by a part for daylight, and then for night, it's going to increase by a part. So that's in door 3, the 7th month. Okay. Then we get to verse 23 and 24. Then the sun is going to rise for 30 mornings in the 2nd door. Okay. And on this day, and when you get to the 30th day, night is going to be 11 parts and daylight is going to be 7 parts. Okay, so night is going to increase by 2 parts and daylight is going to decrease by 2 parts. When you look at the root, remember the root and the foundation. So what we see in this chart here, see how daylight is decreasing? Because on this chart, we can only see the sun when it comes out of the east.
Yes.
And when we get to the west, it's dealing with the sun going down. So right now you see, this is why you see these numbers being negative. That means it's taken away from this sun's daylight. Well, it's taken away from light, how much light we can have for that day. So now we see that it comes back to the great door and now it's working itself now towards the 3rd door and the 2nd door now. Okay.
Yes.
Some of these blanks I will be coming back and finishing in for you to have. Okay. So now we get to verse 25 and 26. Now we seeing the sun rise and set out of the 1st door for 31 mornings. Then if y'all notice something, when it comes to 31 mornings, it's letting you know that's the last month in the season, right? For that season. That's a little hint. Okay.
Yes.
So what month is this?
Ninth.
9. And what season?
It's still the fall.
Fall. Okay. And on the 31st day, okay, so when the sun coming out that east door, when that sun comes out of the east door, which is the first door, on the 31st day, you're going to have daylight being 6 parts and night being 12 parts. So night becomes what? Double to daylight now. And what did we say what was double to daylight? I mean, what did we say what was double? You have 12 parts and 6 parts. Little hint, summer solstice.
Yeah, equinox.
With the summer solstice, remember we
Oh, the
said,
summer.
little hint. How many hours of light will we have when it's
12.
12 parts? And how many hours a night will we have?
When it's 12 part, it's 14 hours.
That's right. Go ahead, sis. Y'all gonna get this. Y'all gonna be pros. And then night would be what? How many hours? When it's
Then
6
it
pounds,
would be it it would be 10.
10. Y'all go ahead. Yeah, see, y'all gonna get this. I got to remember put down my units. I'm a stickler for units when it comes to math because it helps you to see things clearer. All right. So that's one part you ain't got to do. See, 14 hours. And in this diagram, you see here what? In this night month, the sun come out of the first door and it's going to set in the west of the first door for 31 mornings. And then you see what? Daylight is decreasing down to 3 parts. Remember from the root, we subtracted from the root. 9 minus 3 is 6. Okay. Now we get to verse 27. Now, when we look at verse 27, it's talking about transverse. What is pointed out, notice that what the sun is doing, and it did it when it went to the 6th door as well. So when you see the word transverse, it means what? To turn around or to move back and forward or sideways. So that's why this author used that word. But another key word I want you to pay attention is the division of his orbit. Now it's talking about the sun's orbit or the sun's circuit. Okay, remember orbit and circuit. All right, that's what orbit means. The path that the sun goes on, and all that was all of that was reviewed when we looked at verses 1 through 8. Okay, so go back to your notes on that. But what do y'all think it's talking about when it's talking about the division of his circuit or the division? Yeah, when it's talking about the division of his, when it's talking about the division of the sun's orbit, hint jubilees. What is that talking about?
Division meaning like they splitting it.
Yeah, it's going to what? It's going to be what? A marker, right?
Yes.
Okay, to split or to indicate there's a marker there or there's a break there, right?
Yes.
What did Moshe wrote in Jubilees about the division of the year? I'm gonna give y'all a hint. When it's talking about the sun's division of his circuit, it's talking about the 4 divisions. Go back and read Jubilees. I think it's chapter 5 and 6 you need to review. We had talked about it in the past. I'm not for sure if everyone was with us when we talked about it, but we have talked about it in the past, the 4 divisions. Okay.
Okay.
This is why you see but this is why when you see in the verses above, it has what? Signs. And these signs are to indicate unto us the seasons. That's what the 4 divisions are, the seasons.
Yeah.
So we have 4 significant signs to indicate unto us. It is to declare the 4 seasons. And what are they?
fall, well, spring, summer, fall, and winter.
That's right. And when did this take place, y'all? I want to help you out. Was it before the flood or after the flood?
Before.
Let me say this again. When was this declared unto Noah?
Oh, Noah, then after.
After. Y'all see this now? Oh, I'm putting down. Look, I got this out of order. That'll be number 3. This will be number 2. And that would be number 4. That's why I have in here for y'all Jubilees review. Okay. So what it's saying that the sun will transverse the divisions of his orbit. And in addition to that, it will turn again on those divisions of his orbit. So you will see it going backwards or forwards. Okay. And we can see that in the chart. All right. So now that we got this out the way, you have the answer what the divisions of the orbit is. You see how everything falls into place. So on this day let me see what day this is. Did we declare the month? I don't see we put down the month. Okay. What
The
month
10th.
would this be? This is going to be the 10th month. And what season?
That's going to be, we already did the end of fall.
Little hint. If
winter.
It should be
that's
still
right. That's
fall.
right.
It's winter.
Winter.
Yeah.
Winter.
Because the 9th month
I
is
know
the
it's hard to
end.
see with the notes, you know what I'm saying? But if I look at the chart above, it's
It was the
already
end
done
of,
completed.
yeah.
We already done talked about the 7th, 8th, and 9th month, right?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
3 months already. So we know each season only have 3 months.
Yeah.
And I should put down per 3 months. Okay. 4 seasons per 3 months. So every 3 months, I need to say it should be 1 season for 3 months. Let me put that in parentheses so that won't be confusing. 1 season per 3 months. Okay. So we have a 1 to 3 ratio. So it's like a 1/3. Okay. So when we look at verse 27, 28, it's talking about the sun's 10th month, and this is where winter began. Okay. Because on the last day in the sun's 9th month, that was the last day declared unto us, that is the end of fall. So the next day would be winter. All right. Now we're going to see the sun perform transverse or turn in this circuit. Okay. In this month. And on this day, you have daylight being, let me see, daylight being 7 parts and night being 11 parts. Okay. So daylight, I'm trying to make sure I look at this right. Okay. So y'all got to do the math on that. So notice night would be 11 parts and daylight would be 7 parts. So this explains why we in this season now. Hint, hint, we're in winter, right? Why we have night being longer than day and why this is the darkest time of the year. All right. So when we look at the word transverse, we see here it's going to start in that door 1, right? The 10th month. Now look at what it does in the next 2 verses. Then we have the sun coming through the second door in the east, and it's going to return on those divisions. Okay.
Yes.
What are those divisions we was talking about? We was talking about that season because we know the 10th month was that sign.
Yeah.
That sign. Wait. Let me make sure. Yep, it is. Make sure I got it right in my head because, yep, it's that sign. I'm trying to remember if it announced sign in one of these verses. Okay, I didn't put it down, so let's continue. Okay. So we know division is talking about the seasons, because throughout the sun's circuit, there are indicators, or there's markers on this circuit to indicate when the season begin and end. All right.
Yes.
So when it comes to the second door, this time we just finished the 10th month. So what's the next month?
11.
11th. And we're in the season of what?
Still winter.
Winter.
Winter. Okay. So now we see that, and it's going to now start to what? Increase. Daylight is going to increase now. Trick question. In this season, is daylight longer than night?
Nope.
Nope. But it just let us know that night is coming back up. It's going to increase. Okay. Now let's keep going. So we look at verse 31 and 32. It says that this time the sun is going to return to the east, and it's going to rise out of the third door for 31 mornings. That's that hint, y'all. That is the end of the month, right?
Each
The
one
end.
have 31.
So what month would this be?
12th.
The 12th month. What season?
Still winter. End of it.
Winter. Okay. And I know I'm missing something, but we'll talk about at the end of this. It's something that I'm missing here. Oh, okay. We ought to talk about. I was looking for the winter solstice, but we ought to talk about it. And the winter solstice happened, y'all, in the make sure I'm looking at this right. In verse 25 and 26. And I'm surprised it didn't mention the word sign, but we're going to say here, sign 10, which is winter solstice. And winter solstice is the opposite of summer solstice, okay? Because you have daylight double to, you have night double to daylight now. Night is double to daylight. Okay.
Yes.
That's what I was looking for. Did I put down the right month too? Yeah, and it falls in the 9th month, last day. The 10th sign does, which is the 30th day. Wait a minute. There's a typo. It's the 31st day. I was like, it should be the 31st day.
Yeah.
But that's a typo. Thank you, Father, for letting me catch that. Okay. So we get to verse 27. You should have 30 days for that. And make sure I put down. Yep, that's right. And yep, okay. Making sure everything balanced out like a checkbook. So when we get to 29 and 30, make sure we talked about that. And then we're on the 12th month. Okay. So verse 31 and 32 is the 12th month. And the season is winter. And this is where we have the parts to be 9, and night and daylight is going to equal to one another. And on this day, this is where we have the total sum of the sun's year to be what? 364 days. Now here goes some math. We said 9 parts equal 12 hours. Length of night is 12 hours. Length of daylight for these verses is 12 hours. So you ain't got to worry about filling out this. Y'all got this. Now, how we got the 364 days? When you look at the diagram that I have here, I'm sorry, I got to go to this diagram. If we add up all the days of these months right here, and that you see in this chart, when I add 30 plus 30 plus 31, you get 91. Okay. And each season repeats the same thing. You have the same thing for fall, summer. Sorry, you have the same thing for spring, summer, fall, and winter. So we'll get a total of what? 364 days. Another way to look at this, like I said with Matthew, I always do things more than one way. So if I know that all my days is going to be the same, the sum of the days of each season is going to be 91. All I have to do is take it and multiply by 4. And the reason is 4 represent what? 4 seasons. 91 represent the days in the total days. Of 3 months. This is where I'm getting my numbers from. So if I take 91 times 4, you still get 364. Trick question. I know we haven't talked about it yet. How many days is the moon during this time when time was perfect?
Is 2. Hold on. I know it's less days than that, but
You're right. It's less days than that. I'm going to go ahead and give it to you. This is in comparison. Moon is 360. This is when time was perfect. And this is something that you won't see the 364 day keepers talk about. Again, if they would read 2nd Enoch and they would go and observe the heavens, they would see where we at with how many days we should have for the sun and how many days we should have for the moon. Okay.
okay.
So when this is completely filled out, what you see here in the 12th month, it is in the 3rd door. So in other words, the sun starts from the great door. It works itself to the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st door. Then in this same door, it's going to what? Turn around and come back to the 2nd and 3rd door, working itself towards the 4th door, which will what? Give us the 1st month again. Do y'all see this? It's like a circuit. Goes
Yes.
around here, comes around there, and come back to the 4th door, which form like the infinity sign. That means forever. I'm just visualizing the pattern in my mind,
Yes.
with this being the center. So, it comes right here. No, I'm sorry. I need to, yeah, it is like the infinity sign. Okay. Thank you, Father. But anyway, you can see the pattern of what it's doing.
Yes.
Okay. Representing that the Father and the Son are forever. Okay, this is the part I want to get to, verse 33 and 34 and 36. No, I'm sorry, 33 to, I think it's to 37. I want to let y'all see the pictures. Okay, it said the length of daylight and the length of night and the shortness. Tell you what, let's go to the scriptures and read those last few verses. Because this is the part I want to get to. It says, and the length of daylight and end of the night, and the shortness of the day and the night arises through the course of the sun. These distinctions are separated. So now we understand what the sun circuit deals with. It's defined unto us how much daylight we're going to have and how much night. That is the sun's responsibility in this course. Verse 34. So it comes that its course, the sun's course, becomes daily longer and its course nightly shorter. In other words, what it's saying here, daylight becomes longer in its course and night becomes shorter in its course. Because remember, there's a course of the sun that we do not see because it's exiting out the west door, but it's still working, okay, out of the first firmament, which is the first heaven. This is why we can't see it, but it's still working, going from the west through the north back to the east. Verse 35, and this is the law in the course of the great luminary, which is named the sun. And his return as often as he returns 60 times and rises forever and ever. Now, the reason why they said he rises 60 times, the reason why they say he returns 60 times is dealing with when you're looking at the pattern of his months. In each season, he has 2 months that are 30. So that's where that number 60 is coming from. Okay. And it goes on to say that the sun would do this forever and ever. And the title of the sun is known to be what? The great luminary, meaning it is the great light. And notice here it's saying that this is the law. This is another hint. Remember, these lights in the heaven has to follow the law of the Most High. It's what's same for his creation is same for Adam. For those who want to say we don't keep no laws. I don't know where they get this from, but anyway, it's a mystery on that. If you understand who is the law, then you understand we do keep the law. Anyway, but he's going to show you how to keep it in the fourth beast kingdom. Verse 36, and that which rises is the great luminary. So that which comes up is the great sun, and is so named according to its appearance, according as the Lord commanded. So now we know why he's named the great luminary. He's the brightest one out of all the lights, okay? And he's the first to rise out of the east. That is the law, okay? Verse 37, as he rises, so he sets and decreases not. So this let us know that his light does not change. It will always remain the same. When you compare it to the moonlight change, she has phases, but that's not the same for the sun, which reminds me that the Father said, I am the same. Did he not say that through his prophet Malachi? He does not change.
Yep.
So as he rises, so he set and decreases not and rests not, but runs day and night. So he's constantly running. He's constantly working. He's constantly moving. All right. And his light is sevenfold brighter than that of the moon. So that means that the sunlight is 7 times brighter, y'all, than that of the moon. But in regard to size, they are both equal, and that is true. Let me tell you why. All you have to do is go out to the heavens. And when you go out to the heavens, you will see this. I had some pictures that the Father blessed me to get pictures of the sun. What he did, he allowed the clouds to cover it where I can see the true shape and size of the sun. That's what you see here now.
Mhm.
Here's a picture of the moon, y'all. Do y'all see this?
Yep. Same
Now,
size.
yes. So I know we're going to say, well, they look the same. But the only reason why they look the same, I'm telling y'all, there was clouds covering the sun. If the clouds wasn't there, I couldn't get a good picture because it'd be too bright. Okay. So here's a picture of the moon. Here's another picture of the moon. You can see it's the same shape. That's when it's during the daytime. Okay. But as you see, the night is coming in. Another picture of the moon. Here's a picture of the moon at night, y'all. Ain't that beautiful?
Yes, yes.
But notice here, even at night, the proof that the moon is not as bright as the sun, or that the sun is 7 times brighter than the moon. Notice that the moon don't light up the sky in the same manner, or light up the heaven in the same manner as the sun.
Right.
Because that's another comparison you can look at too. So here's the diagram of the final conclusion, where you can look at, if you in your spare time, we have the sun and the moon and the 6 leaders of the stars. And we have, which are the 6 eastern doors, 2 are there. And you can see how the sun moved. And now we know why the 4th door is the great door. For it contains the 1st month and it contains the 6th month. Okay. And in the 6th month, we have what? The Aleph and Tau. We have the end meeting the beginning. I just thought that was amazing. Oh, Father's reminded that when you get to the 12th month, this is where you have the spring equinox. The spring equinox. I forgot to mention that. The spring equinox, because this is where you have daylight equal to night. And then it will go in hand with the 1st month right here. Okay. So that's why I say you have to read the whole chapter and start from that 12th month and then work yourself down to see the bigger picture.
Okay.
Okay. And I will include that in the notes. Then I have here, here I call the compass. The east is going to be in the face of heavens when you face it. The south is going to be to your right. The west is going to be behind you. And the north is going to be to your left. And when you go from east to south to west, this is where we can see the sun in the 1st heaven, in the 1st firmament. And then it's going to exit out of the 1st firmament, but it's still going to be moving on this circuit. going from west to north to east. This is a part of that we don't see of what the sun does. This is the part over here where you have, I need to put over here, night. And I need to take off that highlight. Let me see, I'm gonna put black and then put this. Over here you have night, and over here we're gonna have daylight. Daylight. Okay, yeah, this is right. So over here, you're gonna have what? Daylight over here, and then you're gonna have night over here, because how the sun is running its course. So now we understand what light dictates unto us of how much daylight we're gonna have and how much night we're gonna have. That is the charge that's given unto that light. Okay.
Okay.
And this is the end. I know this has been a long video, my brothers and sisters, but I just want to push through what you can do. I should have said this in the beginning of the video. You probably figure out by now, just pause it and come back to it. But I want to make sure that you have that. We will do a review on our next session when we gather. For those who want to attend our gathering session on setting the Most High Calendar and Mysteries, all you have to do is call 919-972-8970 and let me know that you want to come to this gathering, okay? And then I can share with you the information so you can come and fellowship with us. We hope that you enjoyed this lesson. We do apologize for being too long. I really do, but it had to be done, and you'll see why when we gather in the next part. All right, my brothers and sisters, continue to preach that the kingdom of heavens is at hand, for it's truly at hand. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10, and baptize the people in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, for the Lamb set the example. Oh, Mom, I can see you. Hold on. Let me go back to my share.
You can see me.
Yes, ma'am. I can see you. I can see you. That's okay. I didn't know.
Please take me off.
Oh, I did. I went back to
Okay.
my share. I went
All
back to
right.
my
Thank
share.
you.
So
All
you
right.
covered, Mom.
All
So
right. All right. Thank you.
you're welcome, Mom.
All
So
right.
make sure the people receive salvation in Romans chapter 10, and follow the example that Messiah has given unto us about the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism. And remember, you can do the water baptism yourself, for the water is the second when it's in the earth, and it does report back into the Father who entered into the new covenant, which is the marriage. Okay. As far as the Holy Spirit baptism, you can receive that in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, for the Father said all things and powers and authority are given unto his Son, so you ask in his Son's name. And according to your heart and your faith and works, these things shall be given unto you. We love y'all, and shalom. Okay, I got to hit. Okay, I got to go over here. Stop recording. Okay.